All right, greetings everybody. This is Steven, aka The Wiz on YouTube. And we've had a really good morning today. And we're now just taking some really small positions on ES in a couple one my funded futures account now. So before we get into before we get into it too much, we did some scalping and we're up $1,000 on our Apex account. We're up $50 on two of our my funded futures account. We're down $20 on the other one. So not bad so far. So what I'm looking at on the right side, we have, let's see, I have a volume profile from this swing low right here. This was at 8:30 a.m. up to this swing high, which was at 11 a.m. and that's Eastern time. So it's currently 12:15 Eastern time. 15-minute chart on the right, 1-minute chart on the left. Now, this is ES. You can say we've been pretty much range bound since about 9:20. So we rode up, dropped down, broke the low, came up, broke the high, came back down, broke the low. So essentially we're just breaking the highs and lows of this range. Now we're kind of in the middle. So there's a lot of indecision here. So we're at the bottom of the distribution for this swing high, swing low. And you can see on the 15-minute that we got lots of selling pressure down here, but price is not going lower. Okay, so another really interesting level, because we're looking at real-time CBO options levels. That's really kind of the purpose of this video. It allowed me to put this stop where I have it at about 7690. Okay, and we've basically came back to the entry, bounced back. So I bought the perfect take profit as opposed to the stop. I bought the perfect top, right? And now we're just consolidating in this range here. Now, but if we look at the right side, we're gonna take a look at this GEX level. This is market maker exposure, positive exposure. Generally, when we hit these GEX levels here, this is the biggest exposure they have on the entire GEX profile or the entire session, right? These are where the 0-day expiration options expiration levels are. So at some point, they have positive exposure. If price keeps going down here, we have another important GEX level. This is the second largest market maker exposure level. We could see a push back down to test the lows, right, and try to break through. We already broke through the initial balance low, but here's what I see. Okay, and obviously I don't have enough experience with these options levels to be precise and really have a good grasp of how they work and the percentages of when I see certain things, how often they play out. But here's what I do know. Okay, just by looking at the resistance, price is having a really hard time breaking through this zone. And this is essentially 3 hours. All right, so we ripped up, came back down, broke the low, retraced back up for about 30 minutes, 45 for an hour. broke the high, came back down, retesting after breaking the low once again. And then we're also really fighting to hold this positive exposure GEX level where the market makers are mostly exposed. So generally when we get to these blue lines, these GEX levels, it acts as a break. And you can see multiple times we are fighting to break through this level. If we actually get a push down, we're likely to come all the way down to 76, 79 before we consolidate or stop, put on the brakes, and then see if there's more energy to continue to push lower. To the top side, 77.08 is another level of positive gamma exposure. And in between that, there's very little positive or negative exposure. So we could bounce back and forth between these levels. We could do all kinds of things. We have no idea. But what I'm really banking on is that this level is going to hold. This positive exposure GEX level is going to hold. Okay, and we're not going for much. What we're targeting here, we could target the high, we could target all kinds of things, right? But we're looking at ES, we're trading on MES. So you can see I'm trading MES, and we're actually looking at the larger contract price action. It's not exact, but I like to take the larger contract and use that as my basis of where I want to enter and where I want to exit. So coming back up here, we have this little zone here where there was some selling pressure. It's annotated in this purple, violet, magenta, whatever color you want. Now if we zoom in, now we're going to look at the order flow. All right, because we can look at exactly what happened in each candle. You can see that this was an area where there was lots of selling, dominance over buying. So we're basically placing our take profit right at that level. Obviously there's also some large selling up here, and there was some buying, 500, 400 contracts, which is actually aggressive. That's actually a big level. So I mean, we could argue that, and then we had 107 contracts. These buyers basically got absorbed and price got pushed back down. So I could make an argument to put my take profit a little bit higher, or I could take see money, take money, and take the more, well, let's call it conservative exit. Now, right now, see where we're at. We're back at entry. Okay, and then we just printed what I'll call a bullish zone, to just keep it simple, where lots of aggressive orders just stepped in right here. 239 and 198, 372, 68. So lots of aggressive buying pressure. There are some sellers, but there's lots of buying interest here. Coming back over to the GEX levels, you can see that we're holding this zone, this largest positive exposure GEX level. So this kind of tells me if we break through this, I'm wrong and I'm going to take my loss. And that's why we have our stop at around 76.90. Okay, now I still think at some point we could come down and test these lows again, or even break them. But for now, we're going to hang out right here. and see what happens. All right, with all of this buying activity, I do think I can move my stop up a little bit higher because I'm protected by all this aggressive buying where sellers were basically absorbed here and buyers started to push the price back up. So I think I could, because we're not, these are small 25K, 50K contract. I think this particular one is a 50K or 25K. So we don't really want to take a lot of L's. So the idea here is to, if we're wrong, we're going to lose a little bit. And we're at about a 1-to-1 right now. Actually a little bit more, but fairly close to a 1-to-1. And what's interesting is these buyers did not get rewarded for their efforts. So sellers absorbed them. And now we have a battle where price is being pushed back down. Once again, we're retesting this GEX level. And again, this is a 15-minute chart. So we have strong resistance for the last 45 minutes in this area right here. So which side will win? We do not know. Once again, buyers are stepping in. There's two-way trade occurring. Some larger contract sizes on the aggressive buy, bid and ask sides, both sides. And we're trying to continue to push upward. But my entry is basically resistance. So I bought resistance, which is fine, but I think having these options levels available along with volume profile, which is the orange and yellow, right? We basically rejected leaving the value area for this swing, and we are pushing back up, likely to retest the next level where selling pressure was, and that's somewhere between the VWAP, this yellow line, and this pink line, which is the point of control where the most volume was traded. So this level, 77.05. Okay, so now sellers are in control. They're pushing down. They push through this level. We could get stopped out. It's fine. We're gonna take the L. And we do get stopped out. So we take a, $30 hit. And now, interestingly enough, we broke through this resistance and the GEX level. And it's looking a little bit more bearish for the short term. $366 contracts at this level compared to 79. More selling at the bottom here, large levels. So we're looking at these GEX levels to kind of give us an idea of where price may hold up and where price may accelerate. And then we're also looking at real-time order flow to see who's in control. Right now, sellers are in control. So, and we broke through this level. They have positive gamma exposure to the long side. At some point, they're likely going to have to hedge. Maybe it's later in the day. We don't know. We don't know what the deal is, but we still have a battle here. So it's really interesting. So today's a really interesting spot. All right, because we're trying to push back through the value area low. We're still holding this range. I was a little tight on my stop, but you know, we try to keep it 1-to-1. We don't want to take any really big L's because we can always get back in. All right, there's always another trade, as they say. No fear of missing out here. It helps when you lock in over $1,000 in one of the accounts, and you can't win them all, so you're gonna take losses. Not a big deal at all. So we're still, some sellers got absorbed here, so we are really in a position, and we're starting to really hold this exposure level on the GEX profile. And we're still stuck between this very tight consolidation range of support and resistance. Now, whichever side breaks first with a little bit of order flow confirmation is probably the side I'm going to take, putting my stop on the opposite side of the resistance or support. So pretty easy plan. So sellers are getting absorbed. This is a little bit early. All right, but this is the spot where I'm going to look for some order flow. I really don't want to trade in this range. All right, it's just consolidating. Obviously, this is 1 minute, this is 15 minutes, so it gives us a good gauge though. So we broke back above this resistance or support zone, pushing back into the resistance area. And let's see what happens here. So if we can break above this zone, which it looks like we are doing, I'm gonna jump in. We're gonna go right now. We're gonna go with it. We just broke through and we're gonna take this up. All right, we're above. Everything looks good. And we're gonna take this up to our level. And we're gonna see what happens. All right, we're gonna put our stop. $76.91. Maybe we put it right behind here. So we'll go 1-to-1 on this trade. Exactly. Give us a little bit of room. 45 to make 45. And if we look at this particular candle, this one right here, as you can see is we had significantly more volume than the candle before it and the candle after it. And there was a large asymmetry between aggressive buying and selling delta, where the buyers are in control here. Now, that said, once we get up to this 77.03 level, sellers could likely step back in and push the price back down. But for now, we're going to go with our plan. At least get us back to break even with a couple dollars for a hamburger if we make it there. We're looking for about 6 points. We're getting a big push up. We broke through the resistance that was holding us back for like 45 minutes. We held and protected this GEX level. So this could be hedging pressure from the market makers to push price back up to offset some of their exposure in the options market. Zooming into the order flow. Still, sellers are stepping in strong. Buyers are absorbing, sellers are failing to push price down in the order flow. It's still a battle. Interestingly enough, this zero GEX line $77.04 may be the target. Our profit target is $77.03. This acts as kind of like a VWAP, this zero GEX exposure line. So it's kind of an average of all the exposure that the market makers are holding in the options market. So buyers are in control here. Pushing the price back up. It's a slow crawl to the upside. We're almost back to the VWAP, and the zero GEX line, very close, and the point of control. So, I mean, this right here is where the fight is. And another target could be this 77.10 level. So we take profit on that small little scalp. We see sellers step in. And push the price down. Keep in mind that area was this area where sellers took control to push the price back down. So now we're in a no trade zone. We're right in the middle of value. We took our profit near the point of control, a little bit less, and we are now in this battle area. Let's see how long we stay in this zone right here. Interesting enough, the point of control and the VWAP are very close to the value area high for this swing. We did break through. Let's see if we can do a, let's see what our initial balance was on this. I'm going to add a indicator just so I can see the deep initial balance. don't like to have too much on the chart, but just for a moment, I want to see where that initial balance high is. But you can see on the order flow for the last 11, 12 minutes, buyers are in control. But again, this level, we pretty much nailed it perfectly, right? The order flow tells you lots of really good information. So we took our first hit, took a small L, came back in, just doubled the contract size because we were confident with what we saw in the order flow that buyers were stepping back in. We hit our level. We use these GEX levels as a reference, the 0 line, the point of control on the value area profile. You can see this level right here is where the most aggressive delta was and where the most pretty much volume was traded in this swing. Generally, this 0 GEX line, it acts as a dynamic resistance. So we have multiple key levels here, which we are interested in not trading anything in this zone. I would say if anything, I would lean to the short side, but with the market makers protecting this GEX level due to their exposure, we want to be mindful that price may halt there, which it has multiple times. We broke through it. 4 points, right? So let's say like maybe a 5-point buffer. We'll just keep that in mind. So 4 points. We broke through the initial balance low with a body close, only to reject it back to the middle of value. On the top side, we broke the initial balance high with a wick. So not a strong close above. Right, we ripped up, ripped back down, ripped back up. Broke it with a wick. Strong selling pressure back down. Consolidated, looks like accumulation. Buyers step back in. Strong 15-minute candle, strong 30-minute move to the upside. And if we take the hourly, we broke through the previous hour low, came back, tested into the wick before moving back up. So it looks like liquidity sweep to the bottom side, retest, failed auction to move value to lower price discovery, pushing back up to fair value, rejecting fair value, and now we're fighting in this area where we could see lots of buying and selling pressure. So a fun day of trading. And like, I've gotten to the point now where I just don't even care about getting payouts. I do care, but I don't think about that. I just think getting to the point now where I'm just executing trades, which I think is a big step for me, because I am kind of a gambler, man. Sometimes I just want to just take a stab, is what they say, and I definitely have that. But what these option levels have done, I've been using volume profile for a while. I've been using delta profile. What you just saw was a combination of both. And the most significant thing that I see here is that we broke through this resistance. And now this resistance may be turning into support. See this buy wall starting to form here. You can kind of see all the big, large, aggressive orders. All right, there was lots of selling pressure here and buying aggressive on both sides. And then we finally broke through this zone. Sellers are still here, buyers are still here. This is a very key level, as I mentioned before. All right, we can get rid of these. They're irrelevant now. I like to keep the chart nice and clean. So where is our next level to the upside? Where buyers got absorbed, sellers stepped in, 450 pushed the price down, 369 pushed the price down. Buying here, so it could be our next battle could be somewhere around here. So got this 460 aggressive selling node. Okay, one thing that I might be able to add in on this chart that I don't believe is on here, we're going to add in a big trades indicator. And what the big trades indicator shows you is aggressive buying or selling, that it aggregated trades from one individual. Well, I said deep trades. I want big trades. It's a little different. All right, big trades. We're going 250 is a big number. And this is like from one player. We're going to show the text so we can see the contract size. We're going to go make the bubbles a little bit bigger when they print. Minimum size 8. Opacity just a little bit lighter, 30. As you can see over here, we're still in this range, just dinking around, right? Cucking around. So we're gonna make these a little darker so they stand out. And zone setting, same thing. Darker. And what that'll do is when I mouse over the big trades, you'll be able to see and enable the biggest. So shadow mode, it's gonna print both reversal and continuation lines that come across, and then in the body it's only going to show trend continuation in the same direction. All right, and those will be little horizontal lines. All right, so this gives us another level of detail and granularity. All right, so we got large players stepping in right here to protect. Sellers got absorbed, right? And buyers stepped in. First passively, then actively. You don't see any big bubbles printing down here. But buyers become sellers. So some of these could be stops, right? Where price pushes even farther. But so this was in the, let's zoom in and really take a look. Sellers got absorbed. And this is a reversal in the wick. All right, so this is a wick. Price is in the wick of this candle. You got 2 wicks, 3-bar reversal. Price just takes off. All right, and you can see that this 597 buys average 5.8, range between 76.98 and 76.99. So 76.99 is the average price where this big player stepped in. 76.99 is right here, and we'll make that green color. Let's make it a little brighter. All right, and that is where they stepped in on average. So they were buying in this whole area, 597 contracts. Doesn't all have to be in one place, but it could. However, we rejected from that 0 gex line. We rejected from the middle of the initial balance. We rejected from the resistance of this large down candle. Even a little bit lower. And notice how there's no wicks on these 2 candles. All right. So this might be another buy opportunity down here when we return to this level, which we already have, right? Let's see if we break through this level. All right, so we're at this big level where a large player stepped in and bought 599 contracts to the upside. We're now at this negative gex level. It's a small level, so I'm not going to put too much weight on it. But what happens sometimes when price reaches them and breaks them, it's going to accelerate down back to probably this positive exposure gex level, which is the largest exposure on the market maker side to the upside on the entire gex profile. But price is moving pretty slow here, not a lot of acceleration. All right, because there's just a lot of exposure. And we're kind of right in the heart of it. So it kind of shows you the option levels have a big play in where the market accelerates and where the market puts on the brakes based off of the gamma exposure that the market makers are currently holding. Because at the end of the day, they want 0 exposure. And if they have to get to 0 exposure, that means they're going to have to hedge in the underlying asset, which could be a stock, it could be funds, it could be or ETFs, it could be the futures. Then half of all the options flow every day comes from the 0 DTE options. And then the options flow encapsulates all of the monetary value, the notional value of the stocks, the futures, ETFs, crypto, everything. Okay, so let's see if these big players step back in with some large orders to protect this level of aggressive buying. And it looks like they're trying to right now. Okay, so if we go back to the 15-minute, we're retesting this resistance area, which may now be support, which is also in line with this large aggregated trade area of 76.99. And you can see there's a fight happening here, right? And it looks like buyers are winning. We're going to get into a long here. We took this pop. They got absorbed immediately. But we're going to set our trade up. All right, so our next target is there. I don't like that. This one may be the one we hold for the rest of the day. That's 77.15. And the next large positive GEX exposure level is 77.10. Maybe 77.08. So what I saw here with the order flow is that we rejected from this area that was resistance and now is support, and I think we're going to move up higher to the next important level. So looking at the 15 and the 1 together kind of gives me a real-time order flow perspective where I can see where the aggressive action is printing, where it has printed in the past, and then on the higher time frame for day trading, 15-minute, I can really see everything. You know, you just take 4 candles, that's the hourly, right? We look here, the last hour, we're bullish. Previous hour, we were bearish. Had some news here about more bond buyback program kind of stuff, but then the market just rejected it. Okay, so we're holding the IVB low. We're holding this area. So I really like this trade. Okay, I really like it a lot. We're going to put our stop behind the low, take on $32 of risk. For the opportunity to maybe cash in on 137. And if we're wrong, it's a small price to pay. But we do need to break through that 0 GEX level. But the idea here is, do we really want to wait for price to return to the VWAP and the point of control? Or do we want to buy it at a discount if we think buyers are going to be able to step in and push the price up? I would rather buy it at a discount below all of those dynamic resistance levels. Okay, so we are taking a little hit here. I think we should probably just give it a couple ticks below, just in case. Sometimes it just ticks below and then rips back up. Okay, so you can see we gave it 1, and it's basically double bottom here. And sellers step back in. So see if these buyers protect that level. We're taking on $37 here of risk. You just don't know. You just got to protect yourself, right? So buyers stepping back in hard here, trying to push the price back up. Sellers are trying to push the price back down, retesting back into this area. What did I say? 76.9650. So we'll go 76.96. Okay, we'll take on a little more risk, 50. It's still more than a 2-to-1. So everything needs to make sense. Definitely in the short term, last 3 minutes, sellers are in control. Buyers, and I believe it's large aggressive buyers, going to step in here and really try to protect this level. If not, I could see us coming back down to test the initial balance low, or at least this GEX level. But we're not going to be blowing any accounts today. We're not really doing anything but trying to learn how to use this options flow and order flow together to make the best decisions possible that help us minimize risk and help us set up profit targets and stop loss areas that actually make sense, so we're not guessing, because nobody knows what the market's going to actually do. This would have probably been a better location to buy. And I saw these aggressive moves. They got rejected immediately and price got pushed back down. But we have protection. And if we break through that, we know we are wrong. And the price is small. It's going to be really difficult to blow our account with this strategy. It's just going to take time. Slow and steady. Slow is smooth. Smooth is fast. And if we take an L, it's okay. Right? It doesn't matter. There's no stress whatsoever. Nasdaq's looking like it wants to push up too. So if I come over here, so I bought these 3 challenges on, these are all blown old accounts, but bought these 3K challenges on Top Step. I haven't traded Top Step in a very long time on an account. They're 49 bucks each, and it's kind of interesting. There's no time limit, so it's not a monthly subscription. The way it works is the payout is capped, but you have $1,000 of drawdown, and you have to make $3,000 to pass the first stage. Then once again, you have $1,000 of drawdown, and then you have to get to $3,000 again. So you got to make $6,000. Then you get a $3,000 payout. So there's no minimums. You can trade 1 mini, 10 micros, and we're kind of going to be using the same general. I haven't decided. I was thinking about just going into the micro ETH. But man, the price action, and I mean, there's just so many gaps. So I just don't really know. I mean, I'm going to have to look at the actual ETH price action as opposed to looking at the futures price action. Because yeah, there's a premium, but this is, I mean, these gaps, even on the 5-minute chart, they just look bad. So sellers are really trying to drive the price back down. And this is what kind of happens when you kind of play in the middle, all right? So, you know, I deserve this, but I'm happy. I'm okay with the trade. So we lost that battle. We're coming back down to test this 0 GEX level once again. So we broke back through, and now it's looking strong to retest this IVB low. So these buyers here did not get rewarded. They got ran over. So the last 7 minutes, it's all selling pressure. The last area where buyers were relevant was right here. Then they got ran over. Sellers are ripping through. Sorry, I had it on the wrong screen. Sellers are ripping through. Lots of selling pressure, lots of aggressive trading. Happened to 76 right on this GEX level. Let's see if we get some buyers stepping in here. I wouldn't be opposed to jumping into a long here if I see some absorption of sellers. We're gonna let this candle play out. We're gonna give it some time since we're so close to the IVB low. But it's looking kind of like it wants to go lower right now. Let's see how these options levels come into play here. Keep trying to long. Lots of selling pressure. We have 405 on the sell side, aggressive selling, but we're holding that GEX level. Once again, back to that level. Must be important. We've been skirting with it all. 1, over, back down, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times. 10 times. So these levels mean something. They're very valuable information. And buyers are still trying. They're trying, but sellers are in control. Let's see if we can get some delta flip down here on the bottom side. But man, this is significant. Like here, significant seller dominance on the aggressive side with more volume in those two candles than any others. So like it's real. They're really trying to push the price down. Okay, now we're coming back in again to retest. And we're starting to push lower. But we're still holding on to that level. The next long is going to be back up to the 0 line. That 7703. 7702 right here. All right, that would be okay. So let's make sure here we got some buyers stepping in. And we'll take a quick shot. This is going to be a really short trade. We're going to put ourselves, going to risk 22 to get 65. So we had some aggressive delta. Start to step in. Average volume. I mean, I guess to be fair, we come back to where sellers got absorbed before, risking 42 to win 65. We'll cut it short before that, but we're just giving a little bit of space. I do like the fact that buyers are stepping in here. So some aggressive buying too, right? This is the 220, 220, 208. It's that back and forth game. Okay, I'm out. I didn't like that at all. See, the price just ripped down. All right, rip through this GEX level. It's coming back down to test the IVB. The great thing is you can always get back in. Okay, so we broke through. But I'd really like to see us break through this zone before committing to a breakout to the downside. So we're about at the IV initial balance low of the New York session. But we're still holding this support. And sellers are in domination mode. We've pushed through, basically swept the hourly candle lows, broke through the initial balance low, buyers are stepping in, and we saved money by getting out there. Like, we pretty much, all these lows just got swept. All these lows just got swept. All right, lots of selling pressure. See, going crazy down here right now. Sweeping a ton of 15-minute lows. Our next real break is down here at 76.84. Maybe down to 76.79 is the more important level. So I think our next let's look down here at NASDAQ. We just swept the lows of this swing, bounced off of it. Okay, we're getting some buying. So this is going to be a little scalp, very small scalp, $20. Putting a stop loss very tight, $12 for 20. Looking for a little pullback. This is a retest. Very tight. I do think there's more room to the downside right now, but I'm looking for a small little pullback. In Q, we had some resistance on the IVB. Then we have this strong, effortless push down of selling. And I think we might get a retest before we push lower. So we'll give it one more tick. So we'll risk 15 to win 20. And we get stopped out. So it's all right. It's the way it is. All right, big sellers just stepped in. 429 in this area right here. So large aggressive selling. Let's see if they get absorbed. This is crucial here. Can we get some absorption to push back up? We're coming onto this breakdown here. We're fading the short, coming down to this next GEX level. I think there's still more room, man. Keep trying to fade it because we've been ranging so much, right? So now we're really testing the wick. This initial down candle. This is 8:30. All right, we're coming back into this unmitigated area to test. And we're gonna go for another shot here. Mall ball, baby. So we had some absorption of sellers after sweeping all these lows, tapping into something unmitigated, likely reversing back up for a retest of the initial balance high. At 92. And I really like this session in this video because it's giving me some very good practice. Why did I enter 4? That was a mistake, by the way. All right, that was a mistake. We didn't mean to enter 4, but I think we're going to get to our target, so we're just going to hold on to it. All right, bingo. So we hit that target on that trade. Super big wick. I mean, we can kind of see where the resistance is, right? We also have this break right here. Price just stopped extending. We're coming back to test the initial balance high. So we tapped into that range, and now maybe we return back down to see if another absorption occurs. So now what I'm looking for is for sellers to get absorbed a second time right here at 76. 86. I don't think sellers give up that easy. But now we have some back and forth two-way trade occurring. Likely some consolidation down here between these two positive GEX levels and at the IBV low before price decides to reject and return. If we look at the 0 GEX, it is trending down. So we are in a downtrend. Another option here would be taking a short from this zone. 7,700, maybe 7,702. I already have it marked. So this could be another short opportunity. Then we're diddling in the middle again, which isn't necessarily what I'd like to do. And that was a mistake entering 4. I must have double tapped it. Sometimes I do that. I tap the button twice, like a double click. Okay, so we tapped off that zone exactly. So I basically top ticked that TP. Now we're making our way back down to retest. Also coming back down to this support line for a second test where sellers were absorbed and aggressive buyers also stepped in. So this is the zone. Now I didn't plan on having this long of a video, but the action is pretty good. So it gives us an opportunity to learn. And try some shit out. Now this first GEX level, probably not putting a ton of weight into it because it's one of the smaller levels. Coming down to this 76, 78, that's going to be a little bit more of a break. So let's see if sellers get absorbed here again. This is going to be a key fight right here. Will not be entering 4 contracts. As a matter of fact, it's likely going to be just one, because we only have like $1,000 of drawdown. Wait, which account am I on? Yeah, we only have $1,000. These are my funded future builder accounts. They're 25Ks, and yeah, very, very small accounts. Okay, looks like some buyers are stepping in here. So we have some aggressive buying action. Sellers look like they're absorbing the buyers for the moment. Be back in a second. I just need to get some more coffee. So we just had another large aggressive selling bubble print. 355 contracts at the bottom, another 344. Oh my God. 378. Multiple big players step. Like, look at this. This is a battle, boys and girls. Over here, we are pushing towards this, what I'm going to assume is an insignificant Gex level. Maybe none of them are insignificant, but it's the smallest of the 5 that I'm tracking. Buyers are stepping back in. Sellers are getting absorbed. We're almost to the protection level too. I'm gonna wait for this candle to close. Buyers are winning this battle. Nasdaq's also retesting the initial balance low here. So for these top step accounts, what I really like about them is there's no time limit. So it's not like a monthly fee. So we're not going to trade them today, but I might just trade like micro ETH because it's such a small contract. So I don't really have I don't think anybody's winning right now. I mean, if you take a side, maybe the shorts, but the buyers have been stepping in down here consistently. And we come back down to this protection level and then rip back up because we're going to have a little bit of a break here. So maybe it's not a lot of aggressive. So buyers are stepping here in right here. So there's really no reason to get long yet because sellers are still in control. But we're looking for that reversal. Okay, so we're approaching that small market maker positive GEX level. NASDAQ is extending lower. And buyers at 29,300 are about to get ran over. Such a crazy market. All right, so we blew through the somewhat insignificant GEX level. Still think price is going to move pretty slow. Protection level is just a standard projected move for initial balance breakout. Lines up well with the GEX, but we could extend all the way down and continue. So sellers are in control. I should just jump on the bandwagon, right? But for whatever odd reason, kind of had a long bias here. Okay, so we're hitting that protection level. We're getting close to the most important positive gex level. And we're going to look for another reaction around here. Okay, here's a little trade I like. This is a quick scalp. We're only trying to take $13 here. This is crazy, right? Crazy talk. So we put our stop loss right behind here, $22. So negative risk to reward ratio, but I see this all the time. We come in to tap into this lower range from the swing low to the swing high. We tap into the top of the range, then we decide which way to go. We could go up or down, but a lot of times we're going to kind of retest the top of this range, and this is also where some aggressive buyers were before. So they're going to kind of retest this, and let's see if those aggressive buyers get absorbed again. So this is just a little this is a really high probability setup. It's a small trade. The proper stop on this trade is here. But what I'm banking is it's not going to come back to the 50%. %50 of the range. And it did come back to 50% of the range. So I give it a few ticks of a buffer. And let's hope now it just rips up and we make our little $13 and do not lose 23. Negative risk to reward ratio. So not the best, right? Because we're risking more than we're trying to win, but this is a trade that I see often and it's pretty high probability. So I'm willing to take on that negative risk because I've seen it just happen far too many times. I would take on more size, but in this particular case, these are really small accounts. So we're just small balling it to pay out. That's the goal. Doesn't matter how long it takes. We're going to keep our losses really tiny. Reason why I have it at 20 whatever here, we're probably going to take the L here, is because I don't want to risk more than half of my profit on this trade. But very interesting. Very interesting indeed. And sometimes it retraces into 70%. Okay, so like the safe entry is 70%, but it doesn't get there all the time. With the stop behind the range. And a nice little stop out. So let's see what happens here. We likely take another shot down here at the 70. So this range is not drawn correctly. That's the range. Going for it again here. Bringing it back to that linear regression line, 21 EMA. But we missed our take profit by a tick. See if we can get back up there. All right, so 2 trades, 1 winner, 1 loser, positive $13. And that's it for that trade. Okay, back up here, kind of lost track. Rip above this level, we're probably going to extend to the upside. Retesting this zone where heavy selling pressure was. Are they still here? Is this where we start to reverse back? towards the middle. So we start to revert. Looks like lots of buying. We're still below the initial balance. Maybe this is where we test the initial balance low. Quite possible. And we're in 76.92. All right. Not sure how I feel about this. Still got buyers here. A lot of buyers. This is where those sellers are too, though, man. So like we we're picking the side, and we're picking that we're gonna go back and retest the IBV, initial balance. I see a big negative push down. I'm happy just to flatten this bitch out real quick. All right, because so what I like is in NASDAQ, we already broke back through the initial balance high. So we would have held that trade, and now we're retesting it a second time. We're going to see if these buyers are still here. This might be a nice little scalp over here. Okay, we're out. Can always jump back in. Could just be a consolidation here for quite some time as well. But sellers are in control. Still feeling like long. Sellers are in control, but they're having a hard time pushing the price down. On the NASDAQ, price is holding above the IB high. No, it's battling, man. It's battling right here. It's flattening out though. So we got this long down move. Right, then the linear regression 21 EMA is flattening out, starting to curve up a little bit. We're also down here at this protection level. We had the break, and we've yet to retest the initial balance on MES. So we're likely to be reverting back, at least temporarily. We're still below the IBV, so we rejected retesting where aggressive buyers were here before. And a strong wick to the downside, I like that. Maybe we're retesting into this big wick before we fly higher. So we just broke. This is not the best look right here. We'll give it a little time. Kind of in this range right here. We left the range, tap back into the 50% before leaving it again, right? And it came back in, tapped into the 50% a second time. Now it's going in the opposite direction. So we're starting to take a little bit of heat up here. Lots of selling pressure. We should have been out of this trade already. Gonna wait for it to break through this range though. Okay, so now the range flipped. So here's what we're looking at. Left the range. Looking to tap back into 50% before leaving it again. On the ES side, double bottom. Get a close below this line, we are out. Again, we can always jump back in. All right, we're out. On ES. or excuse me, MNQ. We're heading down towards this protection level. We swept the low. Still feeling like we can. Man, that was a strong down candle there. These 3 candles were a pretty strong down move. Still feeling like we can make it back up into this range right here. 76.84. But sellers are in control. Still a really good day, y'all. Up about 1,000 on one account, down 131 on this account. Here, we're up 62 down here. So overall, I'm really happy with today's trading. That looks like some sellers are getting absorbed here. Let's see if we still get a move. Some buyers stepping in, unable to push the price up though. And it's ripping even lower. Look at that. Crazy. That's why you get out, right? You're wrong. You are wrong. Okay, so I think there's more room to the downside. Got this positive exposure level down at 69.69. Look, I've been trying to fade this down move all day. This is crazy. Crazy talk. These buyers are getting absorbed with this selling pressure. It's just insane. Trying to wrap this video up soon, but we have some action here. Continuing to blow through. We still haven't had a retest of the initial balance low. And we essentially just ripped through it and we're continuing down. Next area where we may slow down is 76.68. Might be interested in a little bit of a scalp long there. 2 MES. So we got some consolidation happening here. Shoot down for another leg. Yeah, we're gonna take a short here. Extension average. This is strong. We're risking 50. Trying to lock in 50 here. Okay. Yeah, that's a strong push back up, but we're coming back into this range, tap into 50% before leaving again. So completely expected there. I'm liking this NASDAQ price action. the S&P is just kind of holding tight. I do think we're going to continue down, but I'm just not messing with it right now. I'm going to wait till we get to this buffer level. So I do think NASDAQ has a little more room to the downside. So if we can lock in this trade, I'll be happy. Not necessarily trying to go more. We did make a higher low here. If this, let's see how this 40 range, this is a 40 range chart here. We made a lower high. Buyers absorb, sellers absorb. So we got a little bit of a battle down here. So we're gonna have some consolidation. So I like this target right here, just for a small little baby scalp. Putting our stop behind. Not trying to give back all of our profit. Yeah, a little more room to the downside, I think. With that lower high. That's what we want here, is a lower high and a lower low. All right, so looks like we might hit our target here if we're lucky. Beautiful. See how we interact with this low. All right, so we swept the low. Next range is the low that put in the high. We break the range. At some point, we're likely going to tap back into it and leave again. Where, we don't know. Likely here. Yeah, and we got the zone all the way up here. All right, so we got some buyers stepping in, some sellers being absorbed down here. This might be a nice little scalp long. Taking it back up. Like baby stuff. Beautiful. Looking great. Still bearish. We break through this zone though, things are changing a little bit. So we tapped right into this GEX level. The GEX levels are moving and changing. Biggest positive exposure level is now down at 77,600. Got a kind of got crisscross, positive, negative, positive, negative, positive, negative. So it's interesting. I'm not sure how to interpret this on the GEX levels. It's just red, blue, red, blue, red, blue, red, blue, red. So they have exposure all over the place. And zero exposure is up here. So I assume that we are gonna probably at some point I think I'll be done trading by then because I have a 1:30 appointment, so I'm gonna miss the 1:30 hedging pressure potential move. Okay, so now we broke through this zone. Tells me to start looking for longs. We also broke above the 21-day average. So we just swept this small swing high. We're tapping back into the zone. And we may be flipping. We're putting a low, putting a high, clean the low, clean the high, come back. See where the most likely buyers are going to be. I think down here where I'm gonna take a shot. Could also short it down to that level. See what our levels look like over here on S&P. This might be the bottom for now. So we tapped back into the zone, but we didn't tap very deep. We get a body close above here. I don't. Yeah, we didn't. So there we go. Back into the zone. Breaking through the linear regression line that is sloping up. Let's see if we can break through here. This is a level where buyers might step back in just right here and it may not come back. Okay, so what it looks like it's happening break through this level, I believe we're coming all the way back down to test the bottom of this range, the bottom third of the range. All right, so we're breaking through that zone. Hard rejection. Now our level is here. I'll take a long from right here with a very small stop. Start with one contract. Patience. So sometimes what's interesting is if you're like a fib trader, you got this swing high, and this is at 78. This is a little more than nearly 80% retracement of this swing range. We never know where, but right now we're in the golden pocket, right? So we've retraced about 50% of the swing range. But there's more to go. Yes, sir. I mean, there's nothing down here. Look at this. It's just nothing. There's nothing here. Except this fractal right here. And this fractal. And this fractal. This looks like the most likely suspect. Right here. Lower highs, lower lows, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, higher high, higher low. The fake out, lower high, lower low is probably the fake out. Ugh. What's interesting here is I kind of missed, or did I get it? I can't even remember now, but same idea. We had this swing range where we left it, came back in, tapped into 50%, then closed the zone. Same exact trade I talked about before. Now though, we're in, this is the range that we're in, and we've yet to break that range. So we might have some consolidation down here for quite some time. It's a pretty strong push. It's a strong zone right here. And to be honest, as much as I'd like to continue with the stream, I think I need to shut it because, or the video, because I need to get ready for work. So I guess I'm just SOL for today. So let's look at our, not that it matters, but let's look at our profit and loss. All right, so this account, we're down 131. This account, we're up 64. This account, we're up 133. And this account, we're up 1,000. So not a bad day. We're gonna call it good. Maybe I'll get into one more position before the day ends, but for right now, I think I'm good. So we're gonna just close everything out. And yeah, hopefully y'all found something of use in the video. At the beginning we used these option levels a lot, then I switched over to NASDAQ and took a couple trades. Worked out better than the trades I took in ES on this account. So y'all have a good one. I'm gonna upload this video, and yeah, comment if you found anything in it interesting. Thanks.